of this thing, but that's for another training. If anyone, does anyone have specific questions on it?
Yeah, I'm 100% guilty of this one. I think I probably used it the first 2 days that Juan sent me out in the field. And I just kind of figured, I made sense of it within myself, like it's just meant to kind of guide you to do what you need to do, right? So if you're just too busy with everything else, it's kind of the same thing. But what he just said, saying what you track increases, what you focus on expense makes a lot more sense. So as soon as you're just talking right now, it's almost like he's looking at you, Juan.
I might have been looking at you, but I'm looking at you.
Like a guilty conscience.
Well, that's usually how it goes, or you feel like someone is talking directly to you or looking right at you.
The guilty conscience just set right in, like, imagine how much things could be a lot better.
Well, it makes it very difficult for Juan, or for Cheryl, or for myself, or for anybody. It makes it very difficult for us to help you, right? Because I know, like, I'm a big, I use appointments, like I play a lot of games like with my head, so I use appointments basically to make sure my energy is at a very, very high level every single morning. Best way to do that is having multiple preset appointments during the day. You go out loving this thing when you know you're going to win, right? Like, it's you don't want to be you don't want to be sitting on hope. You know, you don't want to be making a drive to some county with a stack of leads on the front seat on the phone with whoever is counting on you saying, yeah, babe, I just got these leads. I hope I write something today. That's tough, man. I did that. I'll never go back to that. So, but I know how many phone calls I have to make, right? I know. So here's one of mine from, this was the 3rd week of last month, right? I knew what I had to do. I knew I was going to be gone. I knew that I had to blow those 4 days up. I made 90 phone calls one night.
Hold on, pause. Everybody take a picture of that worksheet right there. Everybody take a picture of that worksheet
But
right
that
there.
can't be done in 1 week, though. This is months of activity, and the stuff just starts to take care of itself. But a lot of it's mindset, though, right? I got, 3, 5, I did 7 presentations I didn't close. A lot of people were packing it in after 7.
Not when you're closing. How many did you close?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But some people, they start their day, they get porched and don't close the first 2. They're not creating more opportunities. They're packing it in.
Right.
And that's not calls to his wife either. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, so this week in particular, that was a pretty good week. But that one, I wrote 21 policies.
But if you want to hit the numbers that Paul's hitting, you need to have a worksheet. You need to put in the activity that he's putting in. No other way around it.
Yeah, I had broken, I think I was talking to Ty or someone, but I'd gotten porched 9 times that week. 9 times in 4 days. That means you set an appointment, showed up.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, it's kind of our lingo, but you set up an appointment, right? You set up an appointment, you drive in, you're ready to go, you're banking on this appointment. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, Jim, they told me they were going to be here. No, they wouldn't do that to me. Bam, bam, bam. Then the person answers, no, I talked to my wife, we don't want that anymore. That will, a lot of people, it's shut it down time, and you just found a reason, you just found your distraction, you just gave yourself the reason to quit. But you got to keep going. To the other point, go ahead, Mark.
So when you said this is months, you said this is months leading up to a week like this. Can you break that down? How do you mean?
Well, that's because my activity doesn't stop. So, while yes, I may be getting porched, but I'm also getting callbacks from people that are completely out of the blue and random, because this is a momentum sport. Right, you know, when you're watching, especially basketball.
Callbacks from people that you've knocked their door stickies.
Anything. It's just random. You know, it's just random. So, because this is basketball is when you typically see it the most, but basketball and football especially. Right, you could tell when the momentum is switching. Right, football, a team's down by 14. Well, they could even be down by 17. Team's down by 17. They score a touchdown at the end of the first half, and they're getting the ball in the second half. What usually happens?
They just keep running though.
Hoops, they get too many damn timeouts in hoops, but why? When's the first time they call a timeout?
Momentum killer.
It's like the old video game. What was it? When it was 2-on-2? He's heating up.
Yeah, he's
What
on
was it?
fire.
NBA Jams. Yeah, remember that
You know
though?
what? Let me tell you
And when they
something.
heat up and get on fire though, but that's legit.
To your point, when you're out in the field, because I know it can get tough, man. You can get, hit 5, 6, 7 doors in a row. Somebody slam a door in your face, get a gun pulled out at you, and all that crazy stuff. Use that to your advantage, man. I used to use that all the time. So anybody watching NBA Finals right now? Right? Y'all see what happens. Golden State go on a 10-0 run. Nick Nurse calling a timeout, right? 20 seconds. Do the exact same thing in the field.
Oh, no doubt.
When it's working against you, right? Take a moment to call a timeout for your own business. Say, all right, hold on. Let me slow this momentum that's working against me, and let me go and talk to my upline at that point. Let me go and listen to Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and listen to One Wealth File at that point. So that way it resets your mind, so that way you can continue to keep moving through the process, which is the day, right? So take a timeout. Don't be afraid to take a quick 20-minute timeout when the momentum's working against you, right? There you go.
Yeah, and you said that, I'm gonna get to Keisha, and you said the perfect thing too. You take that time out, take the time out, and then call someone who you know has been there, who you know has to take timeouts and you know keeps their butts going. Let them get in your ear. We'll go Terry and Keisha.
I just had a question about your sheet. So what is that going down the side, all those?
That's just me
names
personal.
or-
That's just me personally writing it. That's just what I do on my own. I always write their name next to it and then a
Okay.
premium, because I actually use that and I'll look at it to see if I'm falling into a bad habit.
Wow.
If I see myself dropping like the same number and that number's not where I want it to be, I may have gotten into a habit that I want to get myself out of. If I see a bunch where I'm looking at real low premiums, then I want to know why. So that's just something that I do personally.
So your sheet is different. I mean,
No, it's
yours
just
is a
full.
personal. No. I mean, I'm looking up at the top of your sheet where you have your May goal.
Oh, I just write that in on my own.
Right,
Yeah,
that's what
I always do that myself at the beginning of the
Okay.
month. Yeah.
Oh.
And then I right away block out the days I know I can't work at all,
Right.
so that I know going into each week what I have to do. So I know how many phone calls I need to make before I set an appointment. It's usually about 8. So I set a lot of appointments, but it's only about a 12 to 15% appointment ratio. So in order to get the amount of appointments I want, I need to make 80 phone calls.
Say that again. What's your phone call and appointment ratio?
Probably somewhere between, like when I break it all down, look, probably somewhere between like 8 and 11%.
Yeah, okay.
Which if it was just a batch of leads, it'd be 2 out of 20.
That's right.
But for me to be where I want to be, I know that I need to set more appointments than that. Well, the only way to set more appointments is to make more phone calls. And then the part where it's going into, too, to remember is that we want to maximize every opportunity we have. I create most of my opportunities from service with my current clients. Probably 30% of the business I write is coming from the clients that I already have, one way or another. Right? So that's being able to set up, because it's like, well, how do you get to that many in a day? How is that possible? Well, you could knock 10 or 15 out in one house, right? Because if I'm going in with them and I'm doing FCGS forms, and I'm telling them how important this is, and I have them excited about it, and to make sure their loved ones are there, I'm now presenting to 4 more people, right? So I'm getting my message out to more people. I'm using the people that are already my clients for me.
That's what I'm just starting to focus on now.
Yeah,
I need even more.
And then once you're in there with them, and it's really not about them, it's still about my client, but when they see me providing a level of service to their client that they've never seen before, even if they have insurance, now they're sitting like you are, while I'm talking to their loved one, to their sister, to their brother, to their member at church, to whoever. So it's just about getting the message to as many people as we can. So now I'm in there and I'm doing that, so I'm getting points here. Whoop! I just got 3 referrals right there. Whoop! I just talked to 2 of them. I just wrote 1 of them. I now knocked out 20 points in 1 house.
So I have a client that just passed away in his sleep last week, and the sister, I believe, of my client had passed away last year. The family they were frantic. I mean, they were calling, you can hear they were literally tripping on the phone. So, something told me just, I have to be there. So I went immediately I called the first day, when they first called me. And then I called, and I can still hear it. Long story short, I went to the house the next day without calling. I just went there because I felt like I just needed to calm everybody down. They were like really, really tripping. So I basically reiterated to them, remember how we took care, I was talking to the mom at this time. I said, remember how we took care of your daughter when she passed away? And then you can start to see it. And she was like, well, yeah. I said, well, that's the same thing that Lincoln's gonna do for your son, because the daughter had Lincoln as well. So while I'm talking to mom, the other daughter was there, and this is the daughter that gave me a hard time before. Like, Lincoln's nothing, this, that, and the other. Now she's come. I mean, that whole scenario turned into something way different, to the point that we were literally crying with each other and,
Yeah.
you know, sharing. You know, you get those moments sometimes. And then there was a friend that was there. So I have a appointment with the friend. I have an appointment with the daughter and her daughter with, I think, 2 grandchildren or something like that. Then the funeral is tomorrow. They called me again today. She's called me like 2 or 3 times, the daughter has, and she says, she calls me Blessed Terry. So they asked me if I, or invited me to the funeral tomorrow morning. And they already have a rapport with the funeral home that they're using. So, and then she's like, can you bring some of your business cards with you and this, that, and the other? Absolutely, I sure will.
Right, so, and again, so that's all that activity, that's just from doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I put my jacket on because I couldn't keep talking and holding my stomach in.
My fitness pal, I'll hook you up and make it work.
I gotta get committed to that. No, but first of all, providing the high level of policy, that's what we should be doing anyway, right? Guilty, man, when I started, it was all about running to the next one, running to the next one. I wasn't going back to review something or do a service visit. I don't have time for that. I gotta write more business. That was the worst thing I could have done, because first of all, I was breaking my promise that I made to that client, right? When I'm in their house and I'm telling them all these great things we're gonna do, I wasn't doing that. And karma knew it. So you want to, because think about it, if you're providing that little service, you could have that same situation going on with 4 different families at the same time. And then it gets to the point where, again, you can't even keep up. You have so many people reaching out to you. So, anyone have any other questions about that? Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Keisha, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you answered my question.
I did?
Yeah, while she was talking.
Oh.
She was asking about your sheet there.
How was my answer? Was it good?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Robert, go ahead.
You had 90 calls on the Sunday. So are a lot of those calls from like referrals or those cold calls?
That's the thing to keep in mind. When you're new, you don't have 90 people. Well, you do actually, because I'm sure you got more than 90 contacts in your phone. This is and Ty can tell you how much that works, just going through your phone and calling them. So, yeah, Sunday nights, this is why it's so important to make sure your family is aware of what your goals are, because my goals are a family sport in my house. My kids knew, my kids were calling me, and I went to the buzzer on Friday at 6, and they knew that if I hit the goal of 40 grand that we were going to Cedar Point next week. So, they were calling like right at 6 o'clock because they wanted something, but either way, whatever. But it's cool. But it's really important that your family is aware of what your goals are, because then there's not that friction. The only thing is that if you want your family to be part of it, understand it, you better be handling your business. Otherwise, they'll be telling you to go out and get a real job. But, so they know that Sunday nights, not just Sunday nights, I actually do the different parts on Sunday. I for whatever reason, I had gotten porched once. I was out working on a Sunday and thought I had an appointment, they didn't show, and I'm just sitting there like, what am I going to do? Like, I was told not to call people until Sunday nights. And it wasn't that I was told not to call people, I was just told I had successful people telling me what they were doing, and they were doing it Sunday nights. But my family, they know every Sunday, I have a block of time in the morning and a block of time at night. And Dad's going down into his office, you know, which is my basement, I just like calling it that. It's the only space I get, but he's going down to make calls. We were in between, I had a bunch of baseball games yesterday. I'm in my car making calls in between games. So you don't have to have a green shirt on and a lead in your hand and be at someone's front porch to keep your business open. That's the really important thing to remember. I'm not going to be in the field at all today for obligations here, obviously, and some things later. But bet your ass I'll be reaching out to 40 to 50 people before this day ends, so I make sure that I win tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. So there's ways to do that.
Let me
Go
ask you a
ahead.
question. How does it feel on a Sunday to have set 8 appointments and the first thing you see on your book on Monday morning is 8 appointments for that? And I'm guessing it was within the 48 hours too. So that was Monday and Tuesday then, correct?
Yeah, because the way I
So
do
how does
it,
that feel?
oh, dude, you already won. Even if they all told me no, I already won because of the attitude I'm rolling out with and that energy. Even if I'm rolling to you that's about to tell me no, hey, what's up, man? Oh, yeah, I'm in town. I'm trying to find this house. I got to help this girl with her final. Can you believe today, with everything going on, someone still doesn't have their final expenses in order? I know you don't have that problem, right? You do? I mean, so all that positive energy, it's just transferring. Boom, 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 boom. But if I'm, walking down the road and I got my, I got my iPad. Yeah, no, I gotta go to these doors.
No doubt.
Not boom. Next one. Not boom. But if I'm walking down the street talking to everyone in the neighborhood, be the light that lights up the damn room if you're going in it. So, but I set a commitment, I make a commitment to myself on Sundays that I will not stop dialing until I have 3 appointments for the actually pretty much every day. 3 appointments for the next day, 3 appointments for the day after that. Because what happens sometimes is that we stop, right? We set up our appointments for the next day and we're in the moment, we're in those appointments, we're not picking up the phone, we have a great day, and then Tuesday it's like, hope I write something today. But when you have them all set up and you keep it going, and you already know you're going to win each day, this job gets real fun. Because it's not about, hope I help someone. It's, how many am I going to help today? Which translates into, hope I make some money today. How much am I going to make today? So that's why the consistency part is so important. Yeah, Mark?
Oh, go ahead. She can go ahead.
So I know you said that you keep your service appointments as well because you said that also helps with your business, like you were skipping over before. But with that many people, like, how are you able to squeeze in your service appointments as well? Like, are you just taking out a day to do it?
I'll show you
or
here in a
not?
couple minutes with Matthew how I basically create a scenario where I'm tripping over business.
Okay.
I'll show you it on there. It's because of how I set up the areas I work in and how I manage them, but I'll show you.
Okay.
Any more on this one? I know we could go for days. Go ahead. Don't use this as the benchmark either. This isn't always the norm. This was because I knew what my schedule looked like and I filled it up accordingly.
My question was on the 90 calls also because, I mean, I've got a book of business. I go back and see my folks. And just the volume, I guess I'm trying to figure out, and then you say, like, today you'll make 40 or 50 calls. Like, where's the volume of people to call? Because eventually your old book of business, you'll have ran through them all. I mean, I know you're constantly getting leads and then referrals and stuff, but like the volume of calls, like, and I know you have to make that amount of calls to have your 3, 4, 5 appointments.
So who are you calling? Is that what you mean?
Exactly, basically.
Yeah, so one of the things I learned, the phone, I hated it, man, because it still messes with your head when you get new leads and you call them and you're ready to go and like the first 4 tell you no over the phone. That still messes with your head. So I was always trying to come up with the perfect script, and I'd come up with a script and I'd call and it would work a couple times. I'd be like, yeah, I got this figured out. And then I get some more leads and I call and be like, script sucks, man. and that's all I did, where I wasn't looking at it the same way as I was looking at doors. Because with doors, it's what? It's just numbers. It's just a numbers game. So it was the same with the phone. I realized it wasn't what I was or wasn't saying. It was just how many people I was saying it to. Because you never know what's going on in someone's life. I use the analogy, my wife is the sweetest, kindest, gentlest little thing on the planet. But if you go to my house unannounced and knock on my door between 3:30 and 7, when she's home alone with 3 teenagers telling homework lies, a baby that's crying, dogs barking and going crazy, and then she gets a doorbell, she's going to rip your face off. So we don't know what's going on. So I'll show you how I do it with the efficiency part, but I get my batch of new leads and then I start turning on filters in map view, and it's just an all-out assault on everything I've ever had within that radius. So leads I didn't get a hold of, current clients, people that told me no, people that said I'm not interested. And I wouldn't even be able to tell you a script of what I say. Because I couldn't sit down with a list and be like, all right, I'm gonna call current policy holders, right? I couldn't do that. But when I was in my car and I just started, it's nothing. Tell me no, all right, cool. Hey, Mark, I talked to you there back in October. You said you had to think about things and to give you a call in a few months. So it's been a few months. What? You know, all right, cool, next. And I was pushing hard the last day of the month. And I had 2 appointments initially at 10 and noon that I thought were laydowns. You know how that goes.
Right.
It just so happened that the night before I had gotten a hold of someone that had told me no, and he's like, yeah, come at 9:15. I'm like, cool, now I'm really gonna kill it. So I got there at 9:15 and I was able to take care of that gentleman, but I go to the 10 o'clock, I call, she's like, yeah, some stuff came up with my car. I'm like, great, I'm here. You don't need to drive anywhere. It's not gonna work. And she's like, bye. And I'm like, you know? So I look at where my next appointment is, and I had someone there that I had met with back in November, and she did say, check back with me in April. So, just randomly, I call her, and sure enough, her one son had passed away 3 weeks ago. You know how it goes. Everything just lined up the right way. I'm like, I could get there right now. So I zipped over there, took care of her, and then the 11 o'clock didn't show. So had I not just kept doing that, I would have had nothing going on. So that's what I mean, we never ever know. But that's where all the people come from, them calling. I'm just hitting everything that I've had.
Yeah, because for like a new agent to make 80 calls on a Sunday, 90 calls
No,
on
that's not realistic yet. But again, that's why I was quick to say that this is, you know, you're talking, because this thing's like a snowball, right? You could choose to push it up the mountain where as you're pushing it up, it's rolling the snow and getting bigger. But if you get it to the top and let it go, you know, whenever we have like the good snow, you know, you get a snowball and you just roll it and it just starts going. That's what happens. That's exactly what happens. Now, this weekend, I made calls yesterday, but I finished up Friday. Saturday I did nothing, and last night I made some calls, which even at flying at that altitude, my plane dropped, man, and it's going to have to work hard because I'm not in the field today, obviously. So that's why it's so important, the activity part.